What's up? Hey everybody, Lindsay here, and this is my review for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Ooh. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I wasn't super pumped about this movie. The last one, I had kind of mixed feelings about. If you want to check out my review for that, I'll put a thingy here in the corner somewhere. It'll pop up. I thought the Ghostbusters Afterlife was fun. It was an enjoyable movie, but there was just some things that didn't quite land for me. But we're here to talk about Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, continuation of Afterlife. In this one, they are back in New York City. They are back to busting ghosts. All the OG Ghostbusters are back, and there's a new big bad to take care of. First, I'm going to talk about what I did like, and then we'll get to the 2 or 3 things that I didn't quite care for in this movie. I did have a lot of fun watching this. I like everyone in it. Everyone in it does a good job, even the new crop of Ghostbusters. I like seeing them back in New York City. I like that they're out catching ghosts. They're in the old firehouse. I like that there's a new villain. It's nothing from the old Ghostbusters movies. It's something brand new. They're doing a lot more crazy stuff along the lines of the cartoon, The Real Ghostbusters, which opens up the door, I think, for a lot more stories to be told. I'm kind of mixed on that, but we'll get to the other part of that later. Paul Rudd's adorable, as always. And I liked seeing the OG Ghostbusters. They're not all of them are in the entire movie, but they all do show up and have integral roles within the film. They don't just show up to save the day. Well, Bill Murray kind of just shows up to save the day, but that's Bill Murray. He has a couple other scenes too. I think Afterlife did a good job of reintroducing the OG Ghostbusters and to a younger audience, as well as being very open and welcoming to OG Ghostbusters fans. And this movie, you can tell that this is where they're trying to pass the torch onto the younger generation. I don't anticipate seeing the OG Ghostbusters in the next movies. If they do, it'll probably just be Dan Aykroyd popping up in a cameo. They're not gonna have a huge role going forward after this film. I don't see that happening. But they did settle a lot of stuff to where this new crop of Ghostbusters can kind of take over and lead from this point on. But now I'm going to talk about what I didn't like, and it's spoilers. I can't discuss what I didn't like without talking about spoilers. So from here on out, it's spoilers. If you don't want any spoilers, go to this time code. First thing that I didn't like. I didn't care for the whole Ghost Girl side plot. This was obviously put in to appeal to a younger generation. This wasn't meant to appeal to someone of my demographic, which I'm fine with, but it did nothing for me. It could have been completely removed from the movie and I would have been just fine with that. I didn't think it served any purpose. It kind of gives the young daughter a little bit of character development, but the whole mechanisms with that plot line is very convoluted to me, and it didn't make a whole lot of sense. But I could tell that what they were doing, they were trying to humanize the ghosts a little bit, etc., etc. I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I didn't care for it. The second thing I didn't like is in this movie, like I said previously, they're doing this whole thing where they're passing the torch onto this new crop of Ghostbusters, and in this movie, we get cameos and stuff from what are being set up to be the replacements for some of the functions that the OG Ghostbusters fill. Like Patton Oswalt is one of them. And that's fine, but I don't like the way they handled it because it took those responsibilities and knowledge away from the OG Ghostbusters. And my biggest example of this is with Ray. Dan Aykroyd's character. He's in his shop, his mystic, magic, supernatural shop, and Kumail Nanjiani's character comes in and sells him a bunch of stuff that his grandma had, and we get the orb. And Ray uses the PKE meter on the orb, and it essentially melts the PKE meter. Like, that's never happened before. Like, not even when they did it on Zool did it do that. So this is so, so powerful. Like, nothing they've ever seen before. And Ray's character would know the weight of that. He would know something about what's going on with this. He wouldn't have to go to somebody else. He wouldn't, especially when they're in the lab, because Ernie Hudson's character has built this huge lab where they can test ghosts and figure out new ways to deal with ghosts and store ghosts and bust ghosts, etc., etc., etc. And Dan Aykroyd's Ray comes in and he's just like, here you go, see what you can do with that. He would not take that item lightly. So it was very much against his character, that part. And that part I didn't care for very much, because I'm like, he would know how important this object is, and he would know something about what this object is. So that part kind of bothered me. But that's just me being an OG Ghostbusters curmudgeon. It is what it is. The third thing that I didn't like, and the last thing I didn't like, is the whole thing with Kumail Nanjiani's character is he's an ancient Ghostbuster. These like fire controller people that they would bust ghosts way back in the day, going down generation after generation after generation. It was a good source of comedy relief throughout the film. I think he did a good job. I just don't like that aspect of the story. And I know it kind of folds in with all the real Ghostbusters cartoon stuff where it gets a little more fantastical, a little more crazy. That's fine, whatever. But again, going back to the OG Ghostbusters movies, yeah, they actually reference too in this movie. They don't completely ignore it. But going back to the OG Ghostbusters thing is there's all these supernatural things going on, and they combat that with a mixture of knowledge about those things, but they solve the problem with science. They always solve the problem with science. It's at least in the original movie. I know in the second one, you have to, it's all about positivity, man. It's all about positivity, which is a good message. But the basic core elements of Ghostbusters is you have these fantastical supernatural elements, and they are being combated with hard science. I mean, it's a little bit pseudoscience-ish because it is a movie, but it's rooted in science. And this whole thing with the fire controller people stuff, it kind of goes away from that. So that part of the story didn't really interest me that much. I'm sure we'll get more of that going forward in the other movies. But it just wasn't for me. I didn't care for it. But overall, this is a fun movie. It's got a lot of great action. It's funny. You see some old characters pop up, and they do a good job. It's nice to see the OG Ghostbusters doing their thing. And the basis for this story ties back really well to the first Ghostbusters movie. So overall, I had fun watching this. Was it my favorite? No. Will I watch it again? Probably not. But I think this new generation of Ghostbusters fans are really going to enjoy this, really going to have fun with it. And I'm glad they're taking it in this new direction, because it's probably the best way to go. We can't keep rehashing the old stuff. We have to build upon that and grow and move forward. And that's exactly, I think, what this franchise is attempting to do. Are they successful or not? I don't know. Only the box office will tell, I guess, and people's reactions. But it seems to be that most people have a generally positive reaction to this movie. So, have you seen it? Let me know. Put your thoughts down in the comments. I'd love to hear what they are. But that's going to do it for this little review. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later. I'm not used to this chair yet. So until next time, this is Lindsay signing off. I'll check you later. We're going to have to work on that. This is all still a work in progress. You'll see things change, hopefully, as videos come out. So bear with me. Lots of change going on.